Hello, my name is Willy Van Kemenade, and I'm a group travel specialist for Square One Travel in Courtenay, BC. One of the things I specialize in are cycling tours, which have grown over the years. And the very first cycling tour I did was the Sunshine Coast Loop, and I hope to talk to you a little bit about that today. On our more local cycling trips that we do, we always have an emergency support vehicle, and safety is always a concern. One of the things we always suggest to our participants is that they take the CAN Bike 2 course, which is great for a cycling trip like this. The other thing we do is we have a sign that we bring. Originally we were going to say slow cyclists ahead, but we changed that to caution cyclists ahead, and this just alerts other traffic that we are a cycling group, and that way we can respect each other. On our Sunshine Coast trip, which was a 5-day trip, we actually contributed to the local economies. We did this by our hotel stays, our restaurant meals. We visited the bike shops, we visited art galleries, museums, and generally enjoyed what the areas that we visited had to offer. There was a significant contribution to local economies along the way. When I first started looking into the Sunshine Coast Loop, it seemed like something I personally wanted to do, but a lot of people said it wasn't the greatest cycling route, and it was because it was boring, it was all highway, there were no shoulders, it was dangerous. Before we actually do a cycling route, we often do a dry run, and that's what we did in this case. And what we found was the Sunshine Coast Loop, especially between Gibsons and Powell River, was just the opposite. It was a wonderful area to visit. It was very scenic. We found that after the traffic left the ferry, there's very little traffic on the roads. So the shoulder issue really wasn't an issue. And because of the type of tours we do, we did spend a fair bit of time on the highway, but it was about 65%. The other 35% was secondary roads, and we saw some wonderful things while we're doing them. I just wanted to go through the Sunshine Coast Loop trip that we did. It was a 5-day trip. I believe the total distance was about 250 kilometers, so we did about 50 kilometers a day on average. We ended up doing the loop in a counterclockwise direction. First day we traveled from Courtenay to Qualicum Beach, stayed there overnight. That was about 60 kilometers. And from there we went from Qualicum Beach to Nanaimo on the ferry, and then to Gibsons. That was a total of just under 60 kilometers. We then went from Gibsons to Sechelt, which was only 27. Very short day, but there was a lot to see in that area. That was a fun day. The second to last day we went from Sechelt to Ruby Lake. Had a very lovely stay there before we continued to Powell River and Courtenay. So the last 2 days were 51 and 48 kilometers. We found this type of trip catered really well to the type of people that come on my short cycling trips. If I can just describe those kind of clients, I find them to be a wide range of age, but there often is a little gray hair in the group. We have very able people who do these types of trips regardless of age. So here we are at the Broken Spoke, and guess what? A group of cyclists just walked in to support the local economy. They're having coffee and muffins, and each one of these people have been on tours with me in the past. So I don't know if there's anything you guys want to say about our tours.
That Willy is great.
Lots of fun. That's right.
Lots of fun.
Well, Little Hills are sometimes different than Little Hills, but they're all fun. They're all fun.
And he's a good organizer.
Really well.
Yes. And you can see left and right when you're cycling. It's just a nice pace.
These people are often looking for the work to be done for them. They don't want to do the research, which is what I do, and I guess my biggest contribution, and we like to see things. We call our tours the Smell the Roses trips, where we focus on sightseeing, local tourist attractions. We don't go fast, we don't go long distances, we go moderate speed, moderate distance. We believe that the shortest route is not always the best route, so quite often we add distance to make a more enjoyable route. About 4 years ago, we approached economic development in Courtenay with the idea of a farm cycle tour, and they actually embraced the idea, which was great, and we've been working with them ever since. It's developed into an annual ride with about 300 participants. A lot of them are coming from other areas, which definitely boosts the economy. I think the same thing could happen with the Sunshine Coast Loop if the various economic development tourist boards embrace the idea. And it wouldn't be for a 2-day farm cycle tour, it would be for the entire season. It could be done in a very inexpensive way, and I think it would provide a lot of economic developments to the various towns and villages, cities on the route. It would be a great idea. I see a real opportunity with a more formalized Sunshine Coast Loop, in that if there was a website that was supported by the various cities and towns on the route, and this website linked with local businesses that supported the concept of this type of ride, and added in the various local attractions, restaurants, bike shops, and other local places of interest, people could do an organized trip, add-on days after or before, or they could do a self-guided trip and stay as long as they wanted in each of the places that were being visited. I think it's a great idea.